Hi there, everyone. You have reached Beery Good Entertainment. Today we are talking about Alan Turing's tortured life in the movie The Imitation Game, and of course, beer. Well, cider.
Well, and with me, I actually don't have any beers in the refrigerator, so I have wine and Bailey's Irish cream, not together, separately.
I think it's just the thought that counts.
Okay, good. It's alcohol. That's all
It's
that matters.
alcohol. What are you drinking today?
Well, this is one of my favorite wines. This is I think I've shown you this before. This is the port from San Sebastian Winery in St. Augustine. It's so good.
I love
Uh,
port. Is that like super rich?
Very rich and not as sweet as some wines. It's still sweet, but it's more decadent. It's like
Mhm. How super
it's
British.
very British, very sophisticated, like someone in 1940s and 50s after the war would drink. So I feel very sophisticated right now. Of course, I'll ruin it by talking. So
I have where'd it go? Okay. I have a brand new cider.
woo! Oh, so beautiful.
This is a spiced blood orange cider from Swift Ciders here in Portland, Oregon.
Cool.
I think it's so new that I don't even see it on their website.
Wow.
But it's super good. It's not really super sweet. It's not like the sickly sweet type
Okay.
of cider.
It's drier.
It's drier,
Okay.
but you really get the spice off it.
Nice. Okay.
Hmm. What's the? It's like a. Hmm, it's not like pumpkiny. It's like a summer type spice.
Okay.
Like you'd put into an apple pie, but a little lighter.
Okay.
Very appropriate for oranges.
Very good. Now, do you get citrus from it?
I do. I actually do
Okay.
get quite a bit of like a blood orange taste off it.
Okay.
That's the taste that lingers on my tongue after I've taken the sip.
Okay.
And they seem to use really good apples. Well, it's not hazy at all. And it's just a touch champagne like. They're
It
like
is, especially when you first open.
tiny bubbles in there, and it's just a little effervescent.
Exactly, which is nice. You like that little bit of action.
Yes, very pleasant.
Nice. So it's obviously apple cider, but with the hint of blood orange
With a hint
in
of
it.
blood orange and
Okay.
a bit of spice.
Nice. I like it. Almost like an orange pie, orange apple pie.
Like an orange apple pie, yeah.
That sounds awesome.
So today we are talking about The Imitation Game.
Yeah. So it was a wonderful movie. I loved it. I love the whole stuff with the Bletchley Circle. By the way, we're on a kick now. I mean,
Yeah,
apparently this is our theme. We need to find some more Bletchley Park movies. But I love that stuff. That was my favorite part. I was very sad about the part in Manchester afterwards and the part when he's a little boy and he's being beat up and his friend dies and all that. But the stuff in the middle where he's at, Hut 8, that stuff is awesome.
at first I was skeptical about it at first. Like the first 5 minutes I was like, Um, and then the part where they showed the children being loaded up onto the trains because it was wartime,
Yes.
that those visuals, 100% of the time, if you put that visual in a movie, my little heart is going to break.
All those little babies going off to stay in the countryside.
Yeah, I know. Like my husband's trying to talk to me, and I'm like,
No, they need mamas.
I need a minute. I need a minute.
Are they okay? Let's look them up. Are they alive? Are they okay? Did they make it? It's just a movie. Did they make it?
Yep.
Oh, no. Are they okay?
And Che made a comment that it was very Harry Potterish. with all the kids getting on the trains and everything. And
Well-
actually, yeah, it kind of was in a way.
And if I'm remembering correctly, in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, hadn't they been shipped off during wartime, or am I thinking of a different movie?
No, that's true. That's true. They had been shipped off for wartime.
So I got that magic feel too from that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very much children going off into the unknown, parents left behind.
Yeah, to suffer, and children coming home, but not necessarily to the same world that they had left.
No.
So, you have to wonder how Alan's life shifted during the war. I mean, seeing everything dramatically change like that. And is it just me, or was he on the autism spectrum?
Oh, I think so. What I've read about it, there's the thing where he didn't get jokes at all. I mean, he just did not incorporate humor into his, behavior. And also the way he would stutter a little bit and kind of not quite look at people, and his prickliness with social interactions, and his hesitancy to work with other people. I definitely got that. In fact, if it'd been now, he probably would have been diagnosed.
Now, one of our favorite actors actually played Alan Turing.
Yeah. Benny Batch.
Benny Batch.
I love me some Benny Batch.
Man, this guy was so good. This guy was so good. Now, the whole humor thing, I'm not quite sure that Cumberbatch played it exact.
Okay.
Because, he seemed to get the fact there was a joke.
Yeah.
But he just didn't, the humor.
He didn't acknowledge it.
Yeah. He knew something was going on. Some kind of interaction there was going on that he just didn't.
But like he said, a short time later, he said, language feels like a code. People talk, but I never understand what they're saying. So he knows that something significant is going on, but he's not catching it. So
yeah. And who was his buddy? Was that Matthew Good? Played Hugh Alexander?
Which one is that? Which the Russian spy or one of the others?
No, not the Russian spy. The tall guy that he became pretty good friends with.
Who stood up for him?
Yeah.
You know what? He looked familiar, but I can't remember who he is. Let's go to IMDb.
Yeah, I'm on IMDb, and it's Matthew Good plays Hugh Alexander. I just not
that
sure.
Name sounds familiar. Let's see.
Hugh Alexander was the guy, I think, who turned around to Joan's friend in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And Joan's friend was like, Joan asked her friend, so how do you know he likes you?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know he's going to talk to you? And she said, because I looked at him. I glanced over at him once and haven't looked at him since in 15 minutes.
Yeah. And
he turns around to Alan and says the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
She looked at me 15 minutes ago. She wants me.
I know. It's like she's just waiting for me to come over. Yeah, I know him from Downton Abbey. So some people might know him from The Good Wife, but he's also been on Masterpiece Mystery and other. Oh, he was on Stoker too, and some other shows.
And then there was the we mentioned the Russian spy. Who was the Russian spy? Because
he was in Downton
Abbey.
He was in Downton Abbey. That's where I know him from.
Was that the Irish guy?
Mm-hmm. He was on Downton Abbey. He was on all of the seasons.
But was that wasn't Hugh Alexander, the character Hugh Alexander, was it?
Let me see.
It's very confusing because I'm not very good at putting the photos with such a large amount of names.
Yeah, let's see. I'm on Downton Abbey's thing. Gosh, all these people.
I know. There's so many people, and
I
try to keep track of them. Downton
Where
Abbey
is he?
is actually a really awesome show too.
I do too. I didn't watch it the last season. I've still got it on my DVR. I got a little tired of it because it was all just like, titter, titter, who's going to marry who? Oh, I've got too many people in love with me. What am I going to do? I'm Mary. I'm perfect. I wanted to vomit all over Mary. But I'll go back and finish it one day. But his name is Alan Leach, and he played Branson, who married Sybil. Remember?
Yes, there we go. Alan Leach. Oh, he was playing John Cairncross.
Yeah, John Cairn.
That whole Russian spy thing just totally took me just by surprise. Absolutely by surprise.
But you know what? There's another show I love. Did you ever watch the American show Manhattan?
No.
You might like it. It was on WGN America, and it was canceled because I was the only person who watched it. But I watched it faithfully, and it was about the Manhattan Project and the scientist in New Mexico in the desert. And they had a subplot about a Russian spy, and it was someone who was American who had been turned. Mm-hmm. So that reminded me of that. But I think you would like that if you ever get a chance. I don't know if it's available on any of the streaming shows or streaming places. It might be, but it's called Manhattan.
Cool.
It's really good. But yeah.
So what did you think of the spy? Did you actually know that he was to be the one letting information out?
I was disappointed because he was so nice to Alan, and he was the only one who we knew about his homosexuality. And I thought, oh, someone's in his corner, how nice. No, he used it against him. I was like, you mofo, you asshole.
Yep.
But I was surprised that Charles Dance knew it all along. Or no, the MI6. It was the MI6 guy who knew it all along.
Oh, yeah, the MI6 leader had actually put him into place on purpose.
To get information to Russia.
So that they could get help from Russia.
Right, which makes sense because it's that whole Cold War mentality. Even though we were technically on the same side in World War II, we were still enemies.
Yes.
And like they said, Churchill was so paranoid, he wouldn't let any information out. And the MI6 recognized, look, we need all the help we can get. They even said, during the movie at one point, Keira Knightley said, you're going to need all the help you can get with this. And MI6 recognized this. So they said, all right, well, how can we do this without doing it? That's another Bletchley circle thing. Remember, they said, how can we do this without doing it?
Yes, exactly.
So that's one of the things I love about spycraft, being super like under the radar and influencing things without anyone actually knowing it. Mm-hmm. So they put the Russian spy in there. First of all, they could feed bad information if they wanted to, but they could also feed good information.
That's true. One hand washes the other, as the Germans say, or you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Exactly. And that's how we won the war.
I liked the process they went through describing how Alan actually created this monstrosity, and they totally made it look like a monstrosity. It was so impressive when it was done. I was giddy looking at it. Like, oh my God, there it is. That's what it looked like. That was it. That's the very first computer.
And I got so excited when it locked on the codes.
Yeah, and then I understood the second that they sat there and they're sitting there and they're waiting and they're waiting and they're waiting and they're waiting. Right then, one of the very first lessons in computer science came to me.
What?
Bloody thing doesn't know when to stop.
Nope, it doesn't. It's going to keep going.
That is when you make your first program. They drill that into your head. You have to know, the program has to know when to stop doing its job. Otherwise, it'll just keep on going forever.
That's what it does. It's a computer. It computes. It doesn't know when to stop. Mm-hmm. I like the whole thing he said about, of course a computer isn't human, But all of our brains work differently. Who's to say that this brain made out of gears is, any less of a brain than our brain? So that's a good way to look at it. Very artificial intelligence like.
Now, for people who don't know anything about Alan Turing, and I know at least one person who's going to listen to this broadcast who knows absolutely nothing about Alan. Alan created this machine in order to break Enigma. And Enigma was the Germans' machine that created supposedly the unbreakable code. And even after Alan did solve it using this computer to go through codes at what was 3 million different type of codes a minute,
something like that.
Something like that. It was some specific number. Even after he did that, because they very intelligently didn't let anybody know, this machine was able to do this for over 50 years with nobody knowing. Nobody knew for 50 years this machine existed and could break Enigma over and over.
And that's smart. That way, if someone got their hands on it, and tried to use it again, they wouldn't get very far.
And more machines came out that were based on Enigma, but didn't work quite the same. You had to have specific codes in order to make it work. Like we saw in Bletchley Circle, there was one that depended like on the time of day and different parts, time of day and location in order to create the correct code.
But this was what they needed, and all it took. It's funny, they should talk about this in the Security Plus training, because this is a perfect example. They figured it out because one Enigma operator would always start his transactions with his girlfriend's name. They're supposed to pick 5 random numbers, but he always used his girlfriend's name. Yes. So they were able to decipher everything else based on what they knew he was putting out there.
Yeah, because they had managed to do it, what was it, 2 or 3 messages? But like days later when it was useless to them.
Yeah.
What's the one thing the Germans always said to each other?
Heil Hitler.
Heil Hitler. So
that's all they needed.
Every single message. You can at least figure that out. So there's one way to tell the machine, stop when you see this. And another one was, in the 6 a.m. reports that they got. There was always the weather. Yeah, there was always the weather and the time of day and everything. So it was, there again is, if you're giving a code or bits of information, they're going to be able to figure it out.
And Cybernaut says the human is always the weak link in the security chain. And that's true. We saw it there.
Absolutely. Even though technically our brains are really good, machines. Our brains give away information that should not be given away. We screw up and make mistakes, and people figure us out.
Well, and plus, sometimes we get confused between memory and fact, or we get facts mixed up. Whereas a computer, it can pull a specific fact. We may get things mixed up. We've almost got too much information for our computing power. We're like, whoa, we can only do so much. Whereas a computer, not so much.
Now at the end, when he finally sends Joan, who's played by Keira Knightley.
Yes, she's so pretty.
She's so pretty.
I know. I'm like, just keep talking.
Well, I mean, he makes the wonderful mistake of 1, giving her confidence in her own abilities.
Yes.
And 2, giving her a purpose.
Yes.
allowing her to say, this is my purpose. This is what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, when he thinks she's in danger and he wants to send her away,
Mm-hmm.
she basically tells him to go take a flying leap. And he tries to force her to leave
Mm-hmm.
by saying, I never really cared about you.
I know. I'm like, dude, don't do that.
And like at that, I was so heartbroken because, okay, yeah, their marriage would not have been
No.
actually fulfilling.
No, definitely not.
But at least it would have been mentally satisfying for the
Right. Yeah. And they're such good friends, they would have been in each other's lives. Although it's hinted that she was still in his life because she's visiting him 10 years later. And according to Wikipedia, they stay close friends. So apparently they made up at some point.
Or, I mean, even that to me is really odd. I don't know how to make up very well. So it must have been awfully hard for Alan after saying those horrible things, those lies to her.
Mm-hmm. Well, we also don't know how accurate this is. I mean, I'm sure it's embellished some because I was looking at Wikipedia, so it must be true. Yeah. But according to Wikipedia, to her article, she was already employed at Bletchley Park when he met her. So all that stuff with him, convincing her and her answering the crossword puzzle, at least to join his team, that was all fabricated for the movie. So for all we know, that little fight with them could have been fabricated for dramatic effect.
I mean, I saw a lot of other women in the steno pool.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see, the coders.
Well, they could have been in a different hut. So, I mean, apparently they had different areas. So they were probably somewhere else. But I was pissed and very surprised, actually, when the guy at the, when they were taking the test at the beginning, and the man was so adamant, no, the secretaries go upstairs. This is for men only. Because, I knew that women worked at Bletchley. And I'm like, dude, there are women coders there, huh?
Sorry, I was confused about that too. Mm-hmm. Really confused. Mm-hmm. How did they, unless they, picked from the steno pools.
Maybe.
Being a steno typewriter does not automatically make you a good coder.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Being a steno typewriter does not automatically make you a good coder.
Oh, no. I mean, it means you have precision and you can pay attention, so that's a good start. But it doesn't mean you're necessarily an ideal candidate for the, what do you call it? Cryptography pool?
Cryptography, exactly.
But, I mean, I have no idea how they got the women in Bletchley, for instance, that we saw in the series Bletchley Circle. I don't know how they got them.
Oh, now I really want more of Bletchley Circle because
mm-hmm, me too. I want to learn more.
I want a movie about the women on their own at Bletchley Circle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily need to see afterwards because that's depressing. I want to see the work. I want to see them doing the cryptography and their everyday lives there, and I just want to see all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I would have loved to have been a part of that. I love seeing
the cryptography itself. It's absolutely fascinating me, solving these puzzles.
Me really too. I love seeing the Enigma machine where you saw, the message before the decryption and after the decryption. It was really cool.
And how it all worked. That was awesome.
And I remember hearing this, it might have been on Bletchley Circle, but it was somewhere. I noticed they had one of the reports and someone had a coffee stain on it. Do you remember at the very beginning, they made a point of showing a guy drinking coffee and he laid it on the paper and it made a stain?
Yes.
I remember that. I remember hearing about that. I think that's a real thing.
But I can't remember the use. I can't remember the use of it.
I don't know. I don't know if it was from Bletchley or if I just saw it somewhere else.
Sounds very familiar. It's really triggering something in my memories, but I don't know what it was. I guess we could look up what coffee stain Bletchley.
Yeah, we could do that. Let's do it right now. Let's see if we get anything. It's gonna say 404. You are insane.
How to remove coffee stains.
I know, that's what I got too.
Stain removal in Bletchley Court. Bletchley Circle.
Maybe my brain is just malfunctioning. It's always possible.
I don't
Well,
see
what?
anything.
Huh? I don't know. I might have just thought I might have been thinking of something else. I get mixed
Maybe
up.
it was just an artistic thing, and we're just grabbing at anything to be mysterious.
Yeah, I'm grasping at straws. I'm like, oh my God, did you see that speck of the dust on the floor? I think that was from the nuclear bomb that they were working on.
It was a clue. It was a clue.
It glowed red. Did you see it? I think it's a mutant. I think they're mutants.
He blinked for exactly 2 milliseconds.
That's a code.
The code.
He's trying to say, get me out of here.
Oh, it was the body language. Alan also didn't get body language.
No. He pretty much just stood.
Yes. As a child, he's so stiff.
Mm-hmm. And just,
I heard that boy.
That broke my heart.
Yes. Oh, you know what the saddest part for me, though, was he's in there and the investigator is interrogating him.
Yeah.
And he says, he talks about the Turing test. About deciding whether somebody is a real person or whether it's, not a real person or what they are. He said, I'm going to say some things, and then you get to be the judge.
Yeah.
He tells him all this stuff. And then he asks the investigator, so now it's your turn to judge. The investigator says, I can't judge you. And Alan, with this absolutely tortured look on his face, he crumbles. He says, well, you're not used to me at all.
I know. It's so...
all the answers to his life right there in his hands, and he says, can't give it to you.
Can't judge it. And Turing's like, well, then why am I here? It's almost like Turing went before God and said, give me the answer.
Was I right to do all these things? Was I right? Was I wrong? Am I a bad person? And there's no answer.
That's the ultimate letdown. You can't come back from that.
When somebody can't give you an answer like that, and you can't make that answer in your own head. And then all of a sudden the thoughts just started whirling around in his head and they never stopped.
No.
And then they wound up convicting him of being a homosexual and chemically castrating him.
And just reading some of the stuff, like apparently it makes men grow breasts and it deflates their sex drive. God only knows what else it does to them. Those are just the measurable symptoms. I mean, could you imagine someone hamstringing your sexuality as part of yourself, part of your gender?
Yeah, I know. I mean, for people who are in the process of changing over to the gender they feel that they are, that's different. But to lose the gender you are forcibly, there again, did they have rules about torture? I mean, obviously homosexuals weren't quite people to them. No matter how much they'd helped, you would have thought that maybe MI6 would have sent somebody
to help him.
This guy might be a homosexual, but you need to lay off.
He's one of ours. Well, but this was after the war. I mean, this was 10 years after the war. And MI6, they had their own stuff going on. They were probably dealing with the Russians at that time. So it's possible that guy, he'd moved on and it was like, sorry, dude, you're on your own.
Oh.
And I was so mad at that detective.
Better, and that really hurts.
I know. I'm like, he's just left. Well, it's not that different than the Bletchley Park women, from the Bletchley Circle who were left behind. They didn't know where to go. They were just, you're filled with all this purpose for 5 years, and then it's just yanked away from you. Where do you go? You just wander around aimlessly.
Yes, that's true.
And Cybernaut sent a link. I didn't know this existed. Let me, I'm going to share it in, I just did something wrong. I'm going to share it in our little chat.
Oh, okay.
Apparently Bletchley Park is like a historical location. And we can go.
Let's see.
Bletchley, it's in Bletchley.
Here it is. Wow, Bletchley Park, once a top-secret home of the World War II code breakers, is now a vibrant heritage attraction. Wow.
How awesome is that?
The actual Enigma machine.
It's there?
It looks like it. The challenge, explore the different type of machines. I know it's somewhere. I know the Enigma machine and Turing's machine are somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
There is a replica of some of the machines used in Oregon State University.
Nice. I would love to see
research. Wow. Yeah. So they're where are they? Oh, there you go. Milton Keynes. Is it Keynes? Keynes.
I wonder if there's a map.
Keynes. The mansion, Bletchley. The mansion, Bletchley Park, Sherwood Drive, Bletchley. Milton Keynes.
Wait, I wonder where that is in relation to London. I guess we can look it up.
Summer opening hours, 1st of March. So they opened today.
Let's go!
I would totally go.
I know. I'm looking at maps. Let's see. All right, I got the map up. Let's see. I'll put the link in. Put the link in the YouTube chat, and I'll put it in our little chat. There's our little chat. There's our little chat. Okay. So that's the Google map. But I need to go out so I can see where it is in relation to other places. I'm zooming out.
Ooh, you can actually see the different huts. The huts are actually there.
That's awesome. So cool. Okay, it looks like it's northwest of London. Maybe like an hour or 2 hours northwest of London.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Directions. London, UK.
It's actually almost halfway between London and Birmingham.
Yeah, 1 hour and 6 minutes away.
Didn't I said between 1 and 2 hours? Spooky.
Is it driving or walking?
Oh, I think it's driving, because it's because it's like on the map it's this far away from London. So
yeah, and there of course there are routes that have tolls and things like that.
Yeah, and there's Oxford. I could stay on this for hours. There's Stratford upon Avon. Avon. There's Swindon. So many famous places. Portsmouth, Southampton.
Just London itself. Man, I would love to go to London.
I want to go. There's Ipswich, Norwich, Cambridge. I sound like an idiot when I try to say
it's way down in the south of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, so it's in the south, but above London.
Mm-hmm.
So not as far south as other places. That's so cool. I didn't know there was a Boston, England. It's up close to Nottingham, like, but on the water. So cool. And there's Sheffield, where my family's from.
Your family's from Sheffield?
Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, that's where my long time ago, like 200 or 300 years ago, Sir somebody Sheffield came over. And apparently way back there was a lord in there somewhere, but I don't think I can claim anything. There's probably nothing left to claim anyways. But that means I can marry Prince Harry. So I'm just when it's time for me to marry Prince Harry, I'm going to be like, it says Lord. Although you don't even have to be nobility nowadays. Kate's not nobility, so it's all cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So Harry, I'm ready.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how long they're actually going to have a monarchy for.
I know. I kind of don't want them to have it anymore.
Well, I know, but we're American, you know.
Well,
we're like the kids across the street throwing rocks at their door.
Like, what are you doing? Go on and get a job. But you know what? Honestly, we have people who are just as who don't have to work and get money from the state. I mean, we have the first lady, we have the first children. I mean, none of them have to work. You know, there are plenty of people who are, you know, funded basically by the state. So it's not really that different.
Well, I mean, the history of the monarchy is much different than the history of our government. Our government.
That's true.
You know, we didn't. Well, obviously, we started out with the monarchy, but that was a long time ago. They kept their monarchy, and we decided to go to a different system.
We're like, we don't like that. We're gonna vote our assholes in. We're, you know, they're not entitled. Yeah. We're voting them in.
Well, I don't want to turn into a political discussion.
That's for another night. Yeah. But in favor of the monarchy, I do think that the royal family does good things. Diana did excellent things. William does excellent things. Harry does excellent things. I'm not entirely sure what Elizabeth does, or Philip. But the kids have been busting butt. I mean, Harry was in the freaking front lines of the Afghanistan war until they made him leave. But so, I mean, the kids, their lives will still never be like mine. No one's ever going to fire them or write them up for being late or tell them to, you know, simmer down and keep their opinions to themselves. Yeah. None of that's ever going to happen. So their lives will always be different than ours. But they are useful. They do contribute to the nation and the world. So I don't want to badmouth them too much. But I do think the monarchy is an outdated system because they're there as ambassadors, basically. That's their function. They don't have a real political function.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes for a great movie.
It sure does. We've got lots of movies and Netflix series out of them, so that's something.
Apparently, Cybernaut says there's an Enigma machine in San Diego.
I want to see it.
I'm so close to just jumping on a coastal express, and
you should do it.
I am so into machines. I'm into machines. I'm into coding machines. I'm into computers. I'm into beer machines, and
yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, little beer makers. By the way, speaking of which, how are y'all liking that little beer growler you got? That little
the U-Keg. I love that U-Keg.
That's awesome.
Love it. Still working like a champ.
Good. Yay for the modern era.
Yeah.
So, now as far as Turing's life goes, I one of the reasons why I didn't watch this movie for a long time is because I thought it would depress me, because he's typically known as, you know, after he went through this horrible occurrence of having to be chemically castrated, he committed suicide. I was actually happy to find an article that, says that may not be what happened. I mean, it's gray. We don't know.
So, what could have happened instead?
This is what people speculate. First of all, the common understanding was that he poisoned himself by injecting cyanide into an apple and eating it before he went to bed. Well, people who knew him said he ate an apple every night before he went to bed, and he would often fall asleep with it by his bed. So eating an apple wasn't some grand gesture or anything. It's what he did every night. And the apple was not tested for cyanide. Now, one thing I read said that the cyanide poisoning seemed to be more along the lines of like smelling it or, some kind of contact versus ingesting it. Now, he did have an experiment at the time, something like one of the things used for the experiment used cyanide. I can't remember exactly how it worked, but it did use cyanide in the experiment. Some people conjecture it could have been an accidental poisoning. And his mother even said that he was careless with his chemicals. So there is that possibility. Now, we don't know. There was no note. We weren't in his mind. We don't know. Of course, I hope that it was accidental. But at the same time, I say that, but I don't want to take away from the probably thousands of people who really did take their life because of the hell they were put through. So I don't want to say, yay, he was okay, and forget about all the other people who weren't okay. But just in this one case, there is sort of an open-ended question about what actually happened. For his sake, well, he's passed on anyway, so no matter what, it still happened. But I hope he had peace. Let's put it this way. I hope he wasn't distraught. I hope it was an accident so that, we could say he had peace in his life. That's what I hope. I hope for him that he had peace.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really hope it was peaceful and not scary
and distraught. And like at the end of the movie, they really played him as being utterly distraught and addled and almost like beside himself. Which, I mean, I could understand what he went through. It would be totally plausible that he would be.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know that at the end of the movie, there's another conflict where he's talking to Joan and he talks about Christopher.
Yes.
Now, Christopher was his friend in school that died of bovine tuberculosis.
Yep.
The question is, did he really name his machine Christopher? Was he talking at that particular moment because he said Christopher is learning so much. Was he talking about the machine he'd already made, or was he talking about like a brand new machine? And is there any truth to this at all?
Maybe he had a new machine and it was learning. Maybe there's an AI out there who's ever powerful and his name is Christopher.
But he did turned off the electricity.
In Bletchley?
No, in the room where, I mean, it looked like he was pointing to the machine on the desk.
Yeah.
It looked like he was saying, Christopher is learning so much. And to me, I thought that meant he created another machine.
Oh, so not the big machine.
It was a learning machine.
Ooh.
Where he was programming it somehow.
Maybe.
And then he turned off the light like that was, that was the typical end of his life. They didn't want to show him committing suicide.
Yeah.
But without power to the room, it wouldn't have kept on working.
I would guess not.
It was pretty confusing. And then there are conflicts online as to whether Christopher, the machine, existed at all.
Well, we know according to the movie, he called the big machine Christopher. But you think that maybe that there's controversy about whether there was a second machine?
Yeah, it looked like there was a second machine. I mean, yeah, we know the big machine was there.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether he actually did call that machine Christopher or not. I don't know.
He
He gave that machine a name.
he did. Well, according to the movie, he did, because remember he called it Christopher in front of Joan, and she said,
Well,
you
yeah,
named it Christopher.
but that was in the movie.
Yeah.
Did he actually name that machine, or perhaps there was another machine he actually did name Christopher?
Maybe. I mean, that could have been something for the movie. And that's the thing, we don't know.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. And there's always going to be artistic license, so we really don't know how much of that is true. I hope most of
make
it.
for a good movie.
It did make for a very good movie. I was just very engaged, and I felt so bad for Turing, because I know what it's like to, not quite fit in, and, to always feel like there's a joke, but you don't know what it is. I know that feeling, and, you're trying to be yourself, but people don't like yourself, and, people tell you being yourself is not good enough. You need to be better, be something more. And I know how that feels.
Yeah, because Alan's friend turned to him. He had asked his friend, is it really that important that I'm nice to these other people? He's like, Alan, you need all the help you can get, and they will not help you if they don't like you.
Right. That's just the nature of humanity. They're not going to go out of their way to do you favors if they don't like you.
And of course, artistic license, but the clumsy nature in which he went about trying to make friends,
right,
seemed really endearing.
I know.
Apples, which was a really rare commodity, and then tells them a joke out of the blue.
Yep, and he probably rehearsed that joke.
A few of them had it on their face like, oh, he's trying to be nice.
He's trying to be funny.
He's trying to be funny, and it's kind of, it's a little bit more human than he was before.
They just looked puzzled. They were like, I don't know what to do with this. Should I laugh or what? I wanted them to laugh. I was like, come on. I've heard that joke before, but it's still a funny joke, Like, come on, laugh.
He did tell typical lowbrow humor, but he told it in a really horrible way. But it was an attempt. It was a very obvious Alan attempt to say, I need you guys.
Right.
And I'm sorry that I was a jerk.
Yeah. And here I'm going to look at you like a human being and converse with you, and I'm not going to insult you, and we're going to be equals.
Yeah.
He was trying. And I think a lot of that was on Joan. She really brought that out in him, which is funny because Wikipedia, once again, her article, Turing's niece said, and I don't know if this is true, but Turing's niece said that she was actually kind of a socially awkward woman. So in real life, that might not have happened, because Keira Knightley's Joan wasn't socially awkward at all. She knew how to play people. She knew how to get one guy to like her. She knew, she was the belle of the ball. So it's possible they just Keira Knightley'd up that character.
She was still very conscious of her social restrictions.
Right.
But she did play it to the hilt.
She did. I mean, she fit in very well. And even though she was hesitant to go at first because, preacher's daughter, according to Wikipedia, and, she didn't want to feel awkward around a bunch of men. Like you said, when he wanted her to go, she said, no, this is the most important work I'll ever do. You can't make me leave. So she embraced it finally, which I thought was wonderful.
And I think any real coding scientist worth their salt would refuse. It just wouldn't be logical to them to leave a project.
Right.
No, I'm not going. No, you can't make
I need it here.
If the upper people don't want me to go, I'm staying.
Why would I go?
Yeah.
She was like, I don't care if you don't care about me. Obviously, she did care. But She's like, I'm not letting that make me leave. I'm here. You brought me here, and I'm here to stay.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping, like, the whole time I was watching her, I was like, I hope she grows up to be M in the James Bond movies. I could see, because you know how that was Dame Judi Dench in the recent movies? I was like, she's going to grow up to be M. That's what I want.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. I just love that.
Did we have news stories? I can't remember.
There were some, but I don't know, if it's something we really wanted to read. And they're from, like, before, so I don't even know what they're about. The Hillary Clinton stuff I'd put on there, and then the transsexual lifeline donations thing.
Oh. No, that wasn't for this show.
Oh, okay.
I just had it in the wrong section of the show notes. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's no problem.
Sure. Shay will manage to edit that out.
Okay.
I think that's it. And next time we're watching an episode of Black Books.
Yes, our cleanser.
Yes, our cleanser. Our palate cleanser for the next.
Exactly, because it always makes me laugh, never makes me cry, It's something I can get lost in.
Mm-hmm. And as always, if our listeners do have suggestions for other British shows that we can watch, we are more than happy to listen. You can find me, Sorceress Zero, on Google Plus and on Facebook and on Twitter by that handle.
And I'm Lola Larisy. You can find me at Lola Larisy, Lariscy, or Google Plus. And actually, I even have a website. I keep forgetting about it. LolaLarisy.com. I need to remember it because I pay $150 a year for it. So you can find me there. You can find me lots of places. And of course, you can find me here pretty much every week.
And I am so happy to have you here to talk to.
Me too. It's the highlight of my week. It's fun.
And this has been our British discussion here on Very Good Entertainment. And we'll see you again in a couple of days.
Yay!
Here.